Hello, spiritual beings. Love, light, and blessings to all of you. I hope that you guys are having an amazing day so far, and I hope that you guys had an amazing holiday last week. I know that I didn't post last week when I was supposed to, but I kind of got caught up in the holiday event. But I'm glad to be back. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel and watching my videos. Today we're gonna do something a little bit laid back. We're gonna go and dive deep into my paranormal experiences, things and experiences that I went through when I was smaller, that kind of brought me to this spiritual journey today, and it made me realize the gifts that I do have. So let's get started. So my first paranormal experience that I'm going to be speaking about today was when I was little, when I was smaller. My parents and my family members definitely mentioned that freaky things would always happen when I was around, even when I was a baby. Like the car doors and lights would just lock and turn on and off. The doors would lock in the house. Like, entities would just really like to mess with those who were around me when I entered this world and was, living in the home with my family, and I was like a baby in the crib. But I know from what I can remember, the youngest experience I've had that I can remember was coming home from school, and it was very rare that I would come home. And at this time, I was about 10 years old. It was very rare that I would come home and I was alone, but there were times that I would get home before my brother would. And I do remember that I would come home and I would hear my name being called, my nickname being called in different voices. It would either be my aunt's voice, it would be my brother's voice, it would be my mom's voice, it would be my sister's voice, it would be just family members that I was close with. And I would get so excited because I'm like, oh, I'm not home alone. Like, this is such an amazing thing. And I'll get so excited and I'll be looking for my family members and they're nowhere to be found. And I would be super creeped out. Another thing to note is that, yes, in that house, somebody had passed away before we moved in. And maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe the fact that we lived close by to a cemetery also had something to do with it. But I feel like, as much as, yes, that is a contributing factor, I feel like they purposely picked on me because I have my gifts compared to my other family members. And I remember, one day I was just in my room, and at the time, me and my sister used to share a room because we were young. And I remember being in my room. My sister was eating in the kitchen or something, and I'm here getting ready to move to a different area of the house, like to the kitchen or the living room, wherever. So I turned off the light, and I was kind of cleaning up little things here. And at the time, I had a little lamp. It was just like a lantern, but it was battery powered, and it was really small. It was something really little, and it happened to be on. So the room is completely dark. It's nighttime, but I have this little lamp, so I can still see what I'm doing, and I have the door wide open. So I'm doing whatever it is I gotta do, and all of a sudden this lamp goes and completely smashes into pieces on the floor. It throws itself all the way across the room and smashes into pieces. And I kind of was just like, what the hell is going on? I was so shook because there was no way that I did that, and there's no way that anybody, even from jumping around in the house, because it was an old house, could have done that. The amount of force, whoever was in that house trying to mess with me was really trying to give me a good scare. And I just remember looking at the lamp and just thinking, because at the time when this happened, I was all the way in the back of the room, and where this lamp was by my door. So it was impossible for me to have done that. It was impossible because it was me and my sister, and I think my mother was home as well. But my mom was in the living room watching TV. So it wouldn't make sense why my mom would do that, and my sister, I called out for her and she was in the kitchen. So there was no way that any of them could have done that. So I kind of just stood there and was just in shock, and I just kind of picked it up and ignored it and kept it pushing. I remember also another time in that same house. I was about, I would say, like maybe 14 at the time, and my sister was away. She was away for the summer. She went away, and I was the only one in the room. And I just remember it was about 4 a.m., 3 a.m., and I just woke up to this energy. And I never have, even now, I have never felt something so heavy, something so malicious, because it literally woke me out of my sleep because of how bad this energy was. And it was just so heavy. And I just remember seeing in my head, I didn't understand it at the time, but I just remember seeing in my head like this black cloud of like black matter is the best way I can explain it. And I just was like, nope, I am not doing this. And for some reason that house, I guess because it was against the sun, we didn't really get too much light in that house. And the way it was built with the windows and all, we didn't really get much light. So when it was dark, it was really, really dark. And we didn't have like light bulbs, like, you know, like a switch. We had lamps because the rooms had no light fixture already put in. So extremely dark. I was alone in this big room, and I said nope, and I ran to my parents' room. And I told my mom, I know I'm already grown, but you need to scoot over because there's something in my room and I am not for it. And I just remember my mom just like looking at me and just, you know, it's 3 a.m. What can you do at 3 a.m. when your kid is like, scoot over because there is a negative energy in my room? You're just gonna be like, okay, just, you know? So she scooted over, and, you know, she allowed me to sleep there. And I was telling her, I'm like, if you don't believe me, you can go yourself. And I just remember always having this kind of misstep in communication when it came to expressing these spiritual moments that I've had, or paranormal experiences, I should say, that I've had with my family members, because none of them really truly understood what it was I was going through. They had an idea because, again, they had certain experiences, but it wasn't so often. It got to the point that I just remember my father telling me, like, here's some holy water, use it when you need it, say the Hail Mary, and that's all the advice I can give you right now. Because, again, you know, it's me now that's introducing them to certain things in this spiritual realm because of all the research and everything I'm learning and embracing. But at the time, that's all they knew. So I don't blame them at all. So I just remember, and I still have, I'm literally looking at it, but I still have that same holy water that they had given me when I was about 13 years old. Another quick experience that I want to get into was when the first time I astral projected. I was about 12, I would say. I was about 12 when this happened, 12, 13, maybe even 14. I don't even remember like the age, but I'm pretty sure it was about 12 years old for sure. And I just remember feeling very anxious, very, you know, there was a lot of things going on at home, and I was just like, you know what, at school they taught me how to meditate, and I was really into it. I was doing yoga at my house and at school, so I was doing already a lot of spiritual things. My parents loved incense, and without even me knowing it, I was lighting incense, you know, when I showered. I was lighting incense before I go to bed, and I was kind of waving it around the room just to get the scent, not knowing that, you know, deep inside I was cleansing. I was cleansing before I was, you know, doing all these things. I was cleansing before going to bed. So I remember, you know, I had the incense and I was doing my thing, and I sat down to meditate. I just finished doing yoga, and I showered and everything, and I was getting ready for bed. And I just remember feeling a little anxious, and I was taught, when you're feeling this way, do some meditation. So I just sat up, not really doing much research into meditation, and I just decided to go for it. So I went ahead, closed my eyes, and I started meditating. And at a young age, you don't get scared, you know, of certain things, because you're not aware that you know, there's so many things to be afraid of. And that's kind of the beauty of being young, right? Because we as adults build so many fear based barriers that it kind of stops us from truly living our lives. But we work through them and we try our best. So at the time, I wasn't really afraid to go into deep meditation because I didn't think anything was going to happen, you know? I just thought my anxiety would stop. But what ended up happening was I astral projected. And I didn't just astral projected, project in the astral plane. What I actually did was I jumped into my father's body. I know a lot of you are probably like, oh my gosh, this girl is crazy, right? There's no way that that's possible. But let me tell you, it is possible. I swear on my life. You can ask my parent, like he will tell you, and I just finished having a conversation with him, asking him if he remembered this coincidence that happened, and he actually said yes, he does, and he remembers it to a T. And he wasn't really too surprised because he already knew at this point that I was gifted, I had something, and he just didn't know how to help me harness it, if that makes sense. So I just remember projecting into my father's body, and I wasn't really aware of what was going on. I just knew that I wasn't looking from my own perspective. I wasn't seeing my hands, I wasn't seeing my body, I wasn't seeing my hair. I was in my father's body. I was in a car at the driver's seat. I remember he had, a specific shirt. I felt, he just took a shower and he just combed his wet hair because he had long hair at the time. So he combed his long hair back into a low ponytail, and I still feel my ponytail dripping, his ponytail, I should say, dripping onto my new freshly buttoned down shirt. I just feel like I took a nice shower, and I smell cigar, and I look and I have a cigar in my hand, but it's not my hand. So I remember, viewing all these details, not really thinking like what's going on. I just remember being kind of scared at that point because I was like, wait a minute, where am I? And I snapped right back into my body, luckily. And I remember texting my father at the time, like, hey, just humor me for a second. Are you wearing this colored shirt? It has to be brand new. You just took a shower, maybe came from the spa, you did your hair, and I'm telling him all the details. You're sitting in the passenger side, smoking a cigar at this, you're underneath this kind of setting. And he was just like, what the hell? Where are you? And I was like, I'm home. We need to talk. So he gives me a call, and I kind of tell him everything that was going on. And that's when he said, we need to talk when I get home. So I thought I was in trouble, but what ended up happening was he ended up just telling me the importance of being careful now that I am aware of my gifts, and being careful with the spiritual realm. And he was just like, if I have any fears, any questions, any concerns, he's going to try his best to guide me. But he was afraid that I was able to do all of this, and I had no idea how. And I am so blessed that I was able to have that experience because it opened my eyes to the unknown. I know a lot of people don't believe until it happens for themselves. So I'm so grateful that I was able to experience all of this, even the bad stuff, because it made me powerful and made me who I am. It has made me into this spiritual being, and I'm absolutely glad and grateful that I was able to embrace my gifts, but I have so much more stories to tell you guys. If you guys are interested in knowing more of my paranormal experiences or the things that went on in my house leading up to my spiritual awakening, I definitely can get into that. But I hope that you guys enjoyed the stories. I hope that you guys connected with me in that way. If you guys have any paranormal stories that you would like to share, please comment below. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, follow my Instagrams. Everything will be linked in the description box below. But other than that, I hope that you guys have an amazing day. Love, light, and blessings. I will see you guys next Wednesday. Peace.